We're in the woods of Tennessee, out in the sticks, Hickman County, where there's just a bunch of ticks and chickens. The accent, you can tell I'm from down under. Always had an American dream, landed in Nashville for music. Did that for a bit, got married, and then I was like, I want to raise my children away from chemicals, away from the city, away from everything. And have 12 children, actually. Arden, Isaiah, Cherish, Chalice, Cedar, Vision, Getty, Bree, Shepherd, Haven, Remnant, and Solace. We brought ourselves some beautiful acreage here in Tennessee, and we did organic farming. Everything my children ate basically was from scratch. I made my own bread. Everything we could do to just give them the best start possible. We didn't have chemicals in the house. We cleaned with the vinegar. We were trying to remove them from all of the nasties. My oldest son, Arden, he was the leader of the tribe. He was out there working the gardens with fish manure and all of that stuff. We didn't use any chemicals on them. His brothers and sisters and cousins all ran wild here together. When he was 17, he took a landscaping job. The more jobs that he could do, the more money he could make. So he was just hitting it hard. It was within a few weeks that I noticed he started being constantly itchy. Like he'd just sit there and just be itching. He wasn't sleeping well at night. He was eating less. He was always my big eater. But he had a fiance and he was in love. I was just thinking maybe he was just living on love. The day of the wedding, my son, I was looking him up there, ready to see his bride. He looked so pale and I'm like, this is not my son. After the wedding, I'm noticing my son's neck thickening, just a really odd shape. He had gone for a doctor's checkup. He calls me. I remember the day. He's like, Mom, I've got cancer. I just remember screaming. My worst nightmare is my firstborn, and he's got cancer. How? Hodgkin's lymphoma. A couple of months into the diagnosis, it just kept bugging me. You were healthy on our farm, then you go take this job. What happened out there? He started telling us it was spraying Roundup around the cell towers. One day, he was jumping over a fence. He had a lid pop off of his backpack sprayer. It dumped on his neck and dumped on his shoulders. He didn't really think that that was a big deal. You know, he just got his water bottle and just sprinkled it over his neck and shoulders, and he didn't get to have a shower until that evening. This chemical was soaking in his skin all day. And he's like, Mom, that's where it began. The scans all show exactly where that soaked in area from the Roundup. That's where it began. And that's not what normally happens with Hodgkin's lymphoma. There should be other lymph areas involved, and anyone can connect these dots. I go into mama bear mode. To me, conventional oncology is freaky. Like, it's the worst of the chemicals, you know? We asked the doctor, do we have time? And he's like, Hodgkin's lymphoma is the best cancer that your son could have been diagnosed with. It's slow growing. You have time to go and try your natural stuff. We threw all our savings to take him down to a wonderful clinic in Cancun. They treated him the best with all that they had. But you know, this was not a regular Hodgkin's lymphoma. It was not indolent or slow growing. It was so aggressive that it went from first stage to almost third stage while he was down there in just a few weeks. I couldn't even see his features anymore. I remember that car trip back. I was just holding my husband's hand, like all I wanted to do was just scream the whole way back. All I wanted to do was scream. It was very hard seeing it progress at a very aggressive nature, like it was steamrolling over my son. It was eating him alive. All of the extended family got together every night and just hung on his neck and prayed. He would sit there in that prayer meeting. There was part of me that was like, stand up, Arden, like have faith. I need you to have faith. I want you to have a will to live. Can you have a will to live? Like stand up. But he didn't have energy for grit. I called the main head doctor and I said, what do I do? I said, I can't just sit by and watch my son die. And he's like, I would get him to Vanderbilt right now. He needs something big. We were sending him for everything that a hospital had, every poison that they had to throw at this cancer. Hopefully it wouldn't kill him to kill it. Arden walks into the hospital and they take one look at him and they admit him immediately to the intensive care unit. They knew he wasn't going to survive. It was a training hospital as well, and they had 30 doctors coming in and measuring and documenting because it was the worst case they'd ever seen. This cancer was born of a monster. It's not meant to be this way, you know.
I am joined now by Arden's mother, Serene. Serene.
Hey, good to be here.
Thanks for joining
I'm
me.
sorry. I was watching here, and I haven't seen a lot of that footage in a while. Just some of those really intense moments. You know, we've been living for a while not in that dark valley, and it was just hard to see it again.
Yeah, this story really, it rocked a lot of us here at the Highwire. We all have kids. I have a teenage son that's, strapping, beautiful, 17, right at that same age. Mm-hmm. And you imagine, you're going to send them out in the world. You don't want to be, overly anxious or like there's a reason why I raised you the way I did. You're hoping they're going to make good choices. And in this case, this all organic, beautifully designed and built kid mm-hmm. goes out and gets himself covered in a deadly toxic chemical. Yeah. In going through that, the spiritual life, how important was that for you to be? I mean, was there a moment you're questioning God, like, why my son?
I never questioned God. I have very strong faith, but my walk with God was the only thing that got me through that time. I just remember feeling like I can't breathe, I can't go through another day not knowing if my son is going to make it. It should be children bearing parents, not parents bearing children. And it was like, there was just times when it was so like, it looked like he was going to go in a week, yeah. And it was just, faith was the only thing. We all, my sisters, we brought surrounding farms to each other. And so we all raised our children close to each other. So the brothers and sisters and cousins, they were all kind of like one gang, running through the Tennessee woods. And so when Arden got cancer, we had, in the very, very thick of it, 17 and a half weeks, where every night we just prayed, like hanging on his neck, around the tumors, just praying. I think it was just, our faith was the only thing that really got us through to another day. Every night we would be like, okay, we're having another prayer meeting. And it's just, I look back at that time and I know it was our faith that got us through. He is a miracle.
Oh.
He's a miracle.
Yeah. And so in that process, coming from a very holistic place, I'm assuming you don't rush to doctors very often and,
I don't have a primary care doctor for my children.
Yeah.
We just go to the emergency room if they get a big, cut off the leg, in a tree. Yeah.
So, you start out on a holistic path. How hard was it to transition into, I'm assuming like heavy chemotherapy and everything else, right?
Oh, super hard. I remember, when we had to take him to Vanderbilt because the head doctor down at the clinic in Mexico, I was like, if it was my son, I would just get him. He's got to go somewhere where there's something really nasty, something big to break the back of this aggressive cancer.
Yeah.
Because you have to give natural time to work, and we don't have time for him.
Right, you're running out of time.
So I remember him going for his first chemotherapy treatments, and I would just be bawling. And I remember him coming home and him saying, "Here, Mom," and giving me a lock of his hair. Oh. And I just bawled because it was like, it's that first lock, when I gave him his first haircut, back when he was little, I had that saved. Never did I think that I'd be holding another lock of his hair, but it's because he's like dying and his hair is falling out because of chemotherapy. Chemotherapy to me, from my natural, crunchy whole persona, it was like, that means death. You're just shoving poisons in them.
Yeah. But
it was part of his healing story because he needed something aggressive to give him time. But we did natural. We did an integrative approach, and so he just still did all of the green organic juicing, and just his diet was impeccable, and he was just really working hard on alternative treatments as well. We tried everything. He did so many rounds of chemo, he became chemo resistant.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long was this whole journey, this period?
7 years.
7 years of hanging on for dear life as a mom.
Yeah.
And how do you, you have 12 kids, the whole family to hold together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was difficult. It was hard for my husband and I, but it was hard for more than just our family and our children, because we were a community that was so close. Because I really feel like it made a lot of the young people think, oh, life is really precarious. And, I think it was hard from a child's lens.
You don't want kids to be thinking about
Yeah.
that much, right? It's not, you want them to think you're going to be okay. Don't personalize this. Well, I think to really get into this incredible journey and the turning points of it, why don't we see how Arden's doing now? He's in the house. And so let's have Arden come out right now. Holy cow, wait, did you guys hear that? Did you feel that? Not skinny and pale any longer.
Not.
You see that pick mark? When you did that, when you showed your bicep?
Yeah. Actually, a little story on this. I was one of the longest, people to have a pick line in my arm. So like for the longest time. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, you look fantastic.
Appreciate it.
What a journey. So from your perspective, first of all, I just want to ask the question, your mom raises you perfectly clean, perfectly healthy.
Yeah.
Did you know that you were spraying poison underneath cell towers?
No, nobody, I didn't know. The people I worked for didn't know. Actually, it was quite the opposite. We thought it was fine, Oh, no problem, just wash it off, not a problem.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it just, did you see the packaging or was it just coming in giant, I'm just
It
curious.
came in giant bulk bottles that you would then water down with a big water tank. We had a big...
Splashing all over you.
Yeah, 200-gallon water tank in the back of the truck, and then you'd fill your backpack sprayer up and you'd throw it on your back and...
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
And so, tell me about the moment where, would you go for a basic checkup or was this thing starting to bother you?
It was a basic checkup, just like my wife and I went. I actually told her, I was like, hey, I want to just get checked up. I don't know why entirely. I think it was maybe just another issue, but it wasn't like a big issue. Just like, let's go get a checkup. My wife set the appointment up and we went and I had a bump like right here on my clavicle bone. And the doctor was like, how they do, they check you around. And he was like, you might want to get that checked out. And then that was like, okay. I was like, what could that be? He said, Hodgkin's lymphoma. I said, what's that? What's Hodgkin's lymphoma? And he's like, cancer. At that point, I'd never thought about cancer for me. I always thought old people or unhealthy people got cancer.
Right, sure.
Never
That's
even
the way it used to
entered
be.
my mind, yeah.
Yeah, kids aren't supposed to be getting cancer.
No.
And so, how quickly your mom talks about it progressing? Was it weird? I mean, like the images that we have of you. I mean,
Crazy.
You look like Quasimodo or something.
My father-in-law describes it as an alien sucking the life off of my neck.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was very fast, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, look at these tumors in the X-ray. When you think about that was going on inside of your body, it's just astounding you can survive that in many ways.
Well, and actually, one of the things there on that photo, when we first were diagnosed, the doctors at Vanderbilt, like my mom said, one of the worst cases of Hodgkin's lymphoma that they'd ever seen. The doctor pulled my wife aside and he said, hey, he's probably not going to make it. If he does, his lymph nodes will never get back to normal size because they're that big. Because it's not just a tumor. Lymphoma is like blood cancer, like leukemia. It weaponizes your lymph nodes to swell up and become the tumor. So that was like, he told, he's probably not going to make it. His lymph nodes will never get back to normal size if he does. And they were like baseball, like it's like this.
Jeez.
Constantly. I couldn't, you felt this pain under your arms. I could actually feel like a jabbing pain always, just like little pain around my neck, 24/7.
Wow.
Yeah.
How was his spirits? You said he was weak. Is he a good patient? Was he positive?
He was amazing. I mean, it just blew my brain, just the maturity with which he walked through such a hard valley. He would entertain us. He would do little slapstick, humorous little skits for us with his big tumors. I think his positive attitude was a lot of what got him through as well.
Yeah, probably.
So then, we talked about, and I think a lot of people watching this would go on this, begin a natural journey, natural route. I pray I'm never challenged with having to make that decision for myself. I mean, I can't even imagine, please God, never my kids.
Oh,
But, for you, there's this moment where it's just not working, right? And this idea that we're going to have to get more aggressive. What did that feel like, that thought? Is it all sort of just, is it all just a part of the same journey, or are there these blocks of time where
We
it can
definitely
shift?
had some like pause points where you're like, okay, whoa, this is
Yeah.
happening. But at the same time, you almost had to surrender yourself to it because it happened so fast, and you almost didn't have a choice
It's
after
like
every
3
corner.
weeks, right, that we were down in Mexico.
Yeah.
And it went from first stage to, I thought it was third, but you said it was fourth stage.
Yeah, it went from my wife and I flew down with my parents. We got there and we're essentially, I mean, obviously I was skinnier and smaller just as an 18-year-old then.
Yeah.
But went from kind of healthy person to like, I had a little bump, but at the end of that, it was like
It just
Yeah.
went haywire.
crazy aggressive. And that was the problem. Over the 7-year span of having cancer, I'd get clear scans, it would come back. I'd get clear scans, it would come back. Clear scan. It just
Wow.
over and over again. And we were like,
Yeah.
Did you feel positive? Did you always have a sense you were going to survive it, or did you have moments where you're accepting a possible end?
yeah, to be honest with you, it really hit home when I had my first child, my daughter. Always tried to keep a positive mindset, especially around other people. I felt like that was my job, to be positive for other people, my wife. And my wife was probably the one who knew all the more of my feelings than anybody else. But especially my mom, you want your mom to never have to fear or worry.
Yeah.
So
you're not dumping on her as much. Mom
never-
doesn't need any
My
more
own
stress.
fear was dumping on
Yeah.
I never confided like my true fears to my mother.
Yeah.
It'd be my wife, and even at that, like I remember when my wife and I had our first child, our daughter, and this is in 2019, and I remember being robbed of so much joy because I'm like, am I going to be here for her? Am I going to be the dad in her life? Is my wife going to have to find another husband? Like, is this going to happen? So like,
Right.
it was like that balance of like worrying, but also like trying to keep it at bay and like trying to fight. I don't know.
So you went a holistic approach, went into chemo. Is there a thing, I mean, for people that are out there, I know medicine's different for every person, so
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
no
yeah.
one solution, but was there anything that you sort of point to that was a turning point where I feel
Yeah.
like we got a hold of this thing?
I think, just something that I would give advice to anybody, doesn't matter what cancer they have or what age, is, try, like, if sometimes you need chemotherapy and some of these terrible drugs to beat back the intensity of the cancer.
Yeah.
But don't just take that drug and take it for granted and just start eating. You got to eat right. You got to move.
Yeah.
Got to gain muscle. Muscle mass is one of the biggest parts of our immune system. It's not just for aesthetics. It's not just for strength and function. It's for whole health.
Yeah.
And so many different illnesses. And that's kind of what at my sickest in some of those photos there, I was 125 pounds.
Wow.
I'm 6'5".
Wow.
125 pounds. And now I'm 225 pounds.
Right.
So like, I had to gain a lot of muscle.
I remember him after the stem cell transplant where they basically lit him up with chemo, nuked his body, radiated him, and then they kind of bring you back from the brink, and flood your body with those stem cells.
And they're your own, they've drawn your own stem
Yeah,
cells?
so I did one of those where they draw my own stem cells instead of somebody else's, less chance of host rejection.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But I remember him just looking so pale, so weak. But he got this fire within him in that stem cell stay where he felt like crap on a Ritz cracker is what he would tell me.
That's my line. You can't take my line.
Yeah. And he's like, oh my goodness. And then he got this fire within him. He's like, no, I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight this. And he felt like he couldn't even swallow because he had like sores and blisters down his esophagus. And he's like, no, I'm going to eat protein, and I'm going to ask for an elliptical to be brought into my hospital room. And he started working out in the hospital and feeling terrible, hardly being able to do it, but trying, walking like a mile. How long did you
I
walk
walked
every day?
a mile pretty much every day while I was that's on the 6th floor there, getting the treatment, and 16 laps is a mile, so I tried to get 16 laps a day. But really, it kind of started around when I was having my wife and I had our daughter. I just was like, I used the excuse, I can't do this because I have cancer. I can't do this, and I'm maybe not good at this because I'm sick. And using it as an excuse and a crutch. And as terrible as, having these chemicals and being sick and cancer is, I was like, I no longer wanted to be defined by it. So that was where that flip switched. I'm like, I gotta actually fight. So I wanted to make my body the most undesirable place for illness to live. So I was working out, no longer using it as an excuse, but maybe as a story, telling people, but hey, this is my reason why I'm doing it, not why not.
Well, you're an inspiration to our audience. You actually are working to inspire other people,
By the grace
both
of
of
God.
you, with your work. So why don't you stick around, and off the record, I'd love to hear what you're
Yeah.
up to now. But
Yeah.
you know, we'll talk about the fact that they said you were never going to have kids, how you
Yeah.
got through that. But congratulations,
Thank you.
both of you, and what a testament to, you know, in many ways, modern medicine and God's grace.
Oh, yes.
There are moments. Yeah, there's a lot. If you want to follow his journey, I think do we have a website? Here we go. Undefeated.men.
Yeah, that's
There
my
you go.
socials, yeah.
That's your socials.
Yeah.
And anywhere else we should be checking out what you're
Yeah,
doing?
we
Is
have
that-
Facebook, I have a website, and you can also follow me on it personally as well. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. We'll have a little bit deeper conversation
Appreciate it.
off
Thank
the
you.
record. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing your
Thank
story. I appreciate it.